Let's go.
Welcome to this week edition of Don Cherry's Grapevine podcast. My name's Tim. I'm here with my sister Cindy, of course, Dad, and Dell's at the controls and
Making it sound good.
making us sound good. And so, Dad, you start off.
Well, of course, we have to talk about Walter Gretzky. I knew Walter. I used to see him all the time at the banquets all the time. I never, you're up on the table. You never, hello. And then I used to see him at the games all the time, the GTHL games. And he used to be there. And, a guy's dead. You always say he's the greatest guy and all that. They're always the greatest guy. But he was. I mean, he'd be at the game. He'd sign autographs all night long. And you'd never know he was Wayne's father. I mean, he was he had time for everybody. He used to call everybody special, and I mean, he really did.
Was he the guy that he said that you should sign your autograph always in blue
Yeah,
Sharpie?
he was. He said Wayne's always signed it in blue. Why? I don't know why.
Well, because if it's black, you don't know if it's like mimeographed or
Right.
imprinted on it. But if it's blue,
I never thought of that. Yeah.
well, there you go.
Yeah. Well, Gretzky's pretty smart.
He's smart. He's a professional.
He probably listened to his dad.
Walter told me.
And you know what? He signs his name. You can understand, Walter.
You can read it and you know what it says.
Yeah, and you can Gretzky's Wayne Gretzky. You can understand too. You see some of them now.
Oh,
I mean, some of them. I just love it. And by the way, Hirsch is coming out. He's on Frozen Pond, and I asked him one day. I said, Hirsch. Was it Hirsch that told me that? No, I don't think. No. I know it was another guy who told me. Anyhow,
we were at a signing just last week with AJ's.
Yeah.
AJ's memorabilia and gave a big donation to the Don Cherry Pet Rescue Foundation.
Yeah. I hope we're doing pretty good in that. Anyhow, John Beliveau, and he used to sign his name, beautiful, John Beliveau. John Beliveau, and this guy, I won't say who it was. He was captain of the Leafs. You can guess who it was. He said, have you no pride in your name? Like a guy just scribbled. Did I ever tell you the story about Ty? Did I tell the story about Ty? I remember the girl's name. She was a young girl. She was dying. Her name was Catherine. And the runner come to me. Del, you used to be a runner, remember? Well, he used to, every time I'd see you, he was sitting. But anyhow.
Oh, nice.
No, everybody was sitting at the end.
Oh.
Anyhow, came to me a sweater. He says, this young girl's dying of cancer. Her name is Catherine. I know it. I never forgot her name. And
she wanted to be buried in the sweater.
In Ty Dommy's sweater.
Right.
I didn't know that, but I forgot that.
Yes, I remember the story well. Holy.
I forgot. So I sent it over, and it come back in a scribble,
So Ty signed it, but it was...
Before, and this is before a game. He signed it fast. The trainer got him to sign it.
Oh, no, he signs it the way. So, geez, I was mad. I went over.
You were really
And
mad.
I said, I want to see Ty.
This is before a game.
Big game. Let me see. I can't use a word. This guy, she's dying, and she wants to be buried in your sweater, and you shit. And you know what he did? Ty did. He went and he bought a real sweater at the pro shop.
That's
and
right.
Signed it his name. I never forgot that. But you see the guy. I go to Hirsch and I see something.
Well, that's why they put their numbers. Half of them most of them put their numbers now because you'd never know.
Never know who
what
it is.
the signage is.
Elliot Friedman. When he first started Hockey Night in Canada, he used to sign his name, Elliot Friedman. You can understand it. And I said to him, and then I saw his name scribbled, and I said, Elliot, can I ask you a question? I said, why you sign your name nicely, and everybody could say it was Elliot Friedman. Why do you sign it? Just scribble it now, like the rest of the guys. He says, oh, it's cool. Anyhow.
But
Waller was there, and he.
Well, you saw him a lot of times too at not only hockey. He was kind of big in lacrosse too.
Oh yeah, I have to tell a story about lacrosse. I shouldn't tell it because it was in the paper. Joe had it in. Joe Warmington. So anyhow, I'm going to tell it anyhow. So I get a call, and they said, we'd like you to come to lacrosse game. You know, they make lacrosse. I didn't know lacrosse that good. And the elite haven't got it and spoiled it yet. It's still...
It's flying under the radar. As
yeah,
as
soon as they
Hasn't
find
been,
out...
and what you're saying is hasn't been ruined yet.
It hasn't
The
been ruined
masses.
yet. They still tough. And the kids play they want to the way they want to play and everything.
Originally, how it was supposed to be
Geez, I
played.
see hockey on television now.
Well, we'll get on to Tom Wilson's suspension and everything. But
Yeah, we'll get back. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and then Bonnie, we had to talk about Bonnie.
Yep.
So anyhow,
So you will go to lacrosse game with
I go to
Walter.
the lacrosse game. I get a call, come to the lacrosse game, and I says, okay, so I go to the lacrosse game, and I didn't know what to expect. So he said, we want you in the penalty box. So we go in and there's Walter. Walter Gretzky's there. And the very first time we really, I used to see him. So he knew about lacrosse. He loved lacrosse. He really did. And so the little kids come out there about 10 years old, or they look like little army guy. Boom, 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 boom. And they all come out together. They really look good. And boy, they're cross-checking one another. And I said to Walter, I said, holy smokes, Walter. I said, is it always this rough? Is this an exhibition game? No, there's nothing. So we're walking out after and signing autographs. We're walking out after. And this kid come out of the mouth of babes. And he says, and here's Walter Gretzky, and Wayne was in his heyday then. He's, okay, who's the greatest hockey player who ever lived, or something to that effect? Who's the best hockey player in the world ever? And Bobby Orr or Wayne Gretzky. And here's Walter standing beside me. So we were walking out. I'll never forget it. So I didn't know. I had to think fast. And I said, well, I'll tell you, Wayne Gretzky is the greatest hockey player in the world playing today. So it was silence walking out, and Walter turned to me and said, Grapes, you'd make a good politician. Anyhow, he was a great guy.
Can I tell my story about lacrosse? And it might be edited out because the editor of this podcast is my son about lacrosse and Del and Max playing.
Yeah.
Do you remember the time when, Del, you must have been only like 5 or 6 years old. As I said, you might edit this out because you might be angry at me. So Del and Max Domi were playing lacrosse. And so I said, Dad, why don't you come out to a game? So, of course, you sat with Ty and I sat with Leanne. And we were going. Del, and you looked at Max out there, and he was like fast. Like he's runner like he is a skater. He's on his tippy toes running all over. Del's not exactly the fastest person and runner and all that. Right, Del? I know you're going to get angry. So I said to Leanne, Leanne, and she goes, what? And I said, watching those two out there, I says, it's like watching a thoroughbred and a Clydesdale. Well, she hit me with her purse. You are awful and all that. Do you remember that, Del? You were mad. I know.
Del's a goalie.
He was a goalie. Yeah, and as you said, I don't know why you wouldn't play goalie.
Well, we'll leave that in. I'm sure Del will leave it in. But
it's nice.
anyhow, we'll get...
So, but one thing I remember, too, is we had Walter Gretzky on the Grapevine show back in the mid-'80s, and a lot of people don't realize, and right now, that Wayne kind of had a tough time when he was young, and, because he was scoring like 10, 15 goals a game sometimes.
No, he did. I won't say it. I'll say it, is that the people on his club, and whether they believe it or not, or they used to criticize him. We used to call him a puck hog because he handled a puck. Yeah, as he should.
And so there was and I think he had just written a book actually at that time. I think it was like around 84, 85, and we got a clip of when Wayne was young. If you see some shots of him when he was like 10 or 11, he had white gloves, so he wasn't. He kind of stuck out wearing these white gloves. And so we have Walter talking about how he got these white gloves.
Now, I know you don't like to say this, and it sounds like you're bragging, but at what age did you see that he had the special gift?
Well, I always answer that two ways. As far as a minor hockey player, you could tell when he was 4 and 5 years old that, he just had that little gift that you're talking about, that he was going to be exceptional in minor hockey. But as you know yourself better than I do, that you don't know whether someone's going to be a professional player until they're 16, 17 years old, because so many things change.
But another thing too, it really got me too, and I really like this. You talk about, getting in there and don't care what, that's the way I am, is that you got them white gloves. Tell us of how you got the white gloves.
Well, that wasn't intentional.
No.
It was one of those practices that I think it was the first practice of the year, and Wayne didn't have any gloves, and I worked late that night, and we went over to the sports store, and Jerry was a good friend of ours, and I said, Jerry, I need a pair of gloves as fast as you can. I said, I only got 20 minutes, get him dressed, get him to the rink, get him on the ice. He said, I got just a pair for you. And he reached up, and I said, just put them right back, Jerry. I don't want no part of that. He said, no, he's got to try him on. He's got to try him on. Wayne says, yeah, they look nice, look nice. And so he put them on. He goes like this. He says, look how flexible they are. Look, because I always liked flexible equipment, especially for young kids. Yeah. And we took the gloves, and that's where that white glove started.
Now, we had him on. You meet him at the rink. He was a good guy, and as hockey players, if you ask him about a guy and he says he's a good guy, he's a good guy.
So we taped this on Sunday, as everybody knows, and it just came down that Tom Wilson had a 7-game suspension for a hit on Bruins Carlos. And so what'd you think?
No, he should have got a penalty. I mean, you run a guy like that. I mean, he ran. And Tom Wilson, I really like Tom Wilson. I mean, he should let his hair go longer, eh? You know, he's got a short hair. Doesn't look like the Tom Wilson. And he did run it from behind. And I don't know, 7 games, though. That's 14 games because of the shortened season.
Shortened season, that's like 14.
But he'd been in trouble before. But I love Tom Wilson. I wish if I had 20 Tom Wilsons, I wouldn't lose. And you see right after that, I knew the Bruins. The way the Bruins play is I knew somebody was going to grab me. And Gerard Tenorti, did he ever hit him? I mean, they had a pretty good fight. Tom Wilson, and then I thought, and then Frederick, and the following period, they had a great fight too. So.
Yeah, but it was something to see after the Jared Tenorti got into the fight with him. The Bruins wheeled off 3 straight goals. And after the third one, Tenorti was sitting in the penalty box, Bergeron went over and tapped the penalty box glass as if to say, way to go.
Well, that's the way the Bruins are. I mean, you might beat the Bruins out of the playoffs, and you might be, but, they always have guys. And they picked up that Gerard for nothing. They got him on the waivers.
Yep.
And he was, if I'm trying to remember back, he was Montreal's first pick. But he was top pick anyhow. And they let him go, and everybody let him go. And here here this big guy, he's 6'3".
Well, a lot of people may not realize his dad played in the NHL.
Mark, yeah,
and he was really tough too.
He was tough too. I think he broke his leg or something.
Yeah,
I don't forget. But I think that ended his career. But he was a big tough guy too. And you get a guy like, and I saw the interview like after the game or after the period. He didn't make a big deal of it. He didn't want to talk about it. He just said, "This is a tight group we have here in Boston." He said, "We got to stick up for each other." That was all he said. So that was a good game, and Tom Wilson got 7 games. I didn't think he'd get 7 games.
No, that's, as I say, that's almost like 14, and that would have been the longest he's been suspended. So, it was kind of, he did hit him a little bit from behind, but he
did hit him from behind. He deserved a penalty, but I think they missed it. It reminded me, and I'm going to tell it again. I don't know about Gary Doak.
Yeah, I mean, he told it once before, but
yeah. It is almost the same hit, looking at the boards, as Gary Doak. And Gary Doak, Carlo, I think it was the guy that
Carlos,
Carlo. And he was, you'd never win that way. But and we're in Detroit, and I remember Dennis Hextall is chasing, like from behind the net. It's sort of, and Gary turned back. And boy, did he ever! He broke his orbital bone and broke his nose and blood in his mouth. He knocked some of his teeth out. And he really did a number on him. And I remember, and I swear to God, I remember going up to Gary and giving him heck. He said, "What the you doing? Turning back?" And I know. And the blood is pouring. He's taking him to the hospital. He's putting his. I remember he had a big belt.
He's going to hospital, and you're giving him heck for turning back.
Yeah, and he's putting his shirt on.
Well,
and that.
He did. I think he broke his orbital bone, knocked some teeth out.
Yeah,
cut him for 10 or 15 stitches, and he didn't even get Hextall didn't even get a penalty.
Well, he didn't deserve a penalty at the time if you're dumb enough to turn back. So I'm giving it to, and so I told everybody. I said to the players, "Don't say a word. Don't say it was a terrible hit and all that stuff. I says, when they ask me, I'm just going to say it's just part of the game. But he paid. And it was near the end of the game. We would have done something in that game, but it was near the end of the game. I think every game Dennis played in the National Hockey League, we even followed him to he played
to Washington.
We followed him to Washington.
I knew you and the Bruin because it was after a couple seasons you were still giving to it, and we all know why too. Everyone.
No, I didn't say nothing. I never told the guys that. I should have, but they might have. But it was a pretty good story. And every time, and Dennis held his own till he fought Jonathan, and that was it. And I remember the game. Jonathan got a 2-minute minor for instigating, 5-minute major, 10-minute misconduct, and he got a game misconduct. So I said to McCauley, I remember, and McCauley's John McCauley, God love him, he's the father of Wes McCauley, he's a referee now. And I said to him, so what do you win a fight and you get life? He said, you never ever heard that happen to you, eh, Cherry? I thought it was pretty good. Anyhow, that was it. Tom Wilson got 7 games, and
Do you think that'll throw Washington off?
It's a funny thing you say. I'm watching that game. It seems I'm watching every game. I am watching every game, and I don't think Ovechkin is interested. I don't think he's interested at all. He doesn't. I know he maybe speared the guy. Federer.
He spears him in the groin. He doesn't even get a penalty.
Yeah. Anyhow,
is he
I don't think
is he on a long-term contract?
No, and I something's. I think he's waiting for the playoffs. I hope he's waiting for the playoffs because he doesn't seem interested at all. He doesn't get in that spot on the right-hand side, and I know they're playing him. They're playing him every time he touches the puck. Now there's somebody on him, but
that's what it seems like now, eh? Like it seems like you're into the season where. Like even like McDavid with the Leafs were playing McDavid and they beat them this weekend. Every time he touched the puck, there was somebody there, and like the Leafs, Bogosian or Brody or somebody was giving him a little shot as they went around. So
that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want soccer, you want basketball, you leave them alone. And
but do you think this will throw? Well, you think it's going to throw Washington off?
I don't know. They don't seem to. They're not the Washington of old, and they got basically the same team, and they just don't look. They don't look. No. I think they're waiting for the playoffs. That's what I think. And I see where Keefe is being compared to Pat Burns. Oh. I mean, I think Keefe's a good coach. I mean, he's the best in the league right now.
Yeah,
doesn't mean a thing. You have to do something in the playoffs. And Pat Burns won the Stanley Cup. Every place he went, he was coach of the year. 3 different spots, never been done before.
And the last time the Leafs went to the semifinals, he was coaching. Remember against Vancouver?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget. Yeah, I remember. You see that enough. But you got to do something in the playoffs. You don't do something in the playoffs, forget it. I mean, that's the main thing. So, but you got to admit about Keefe, he's doing a pretty good job right now. And as long as Henderson, well, he's lost the last 2, but he's doing a pretty good job. He's the best team in the league right now. But they don't have any hits. I see the Bruins hits, 40-some hits.
Well, that Calgary on the weekend, that Calgary Edmonton game, that looked like kind of a flashback to 20 years ago.
I was looking at I was looking at Bergeron, who's pretty good, and Marchand, who's not too bad at players. They had more hits, or as many hits as the Bruins had, or as the Leafs had in one game, and that was one game. I think they had 6 and 7 or something like that, and that 2 pretty good players. Anyhow, how do we get on that about the Leafs? Anyhow, the Leafs. I know they've lost 2 as we talk now, and
they're still pretty comfortable ahead.
Oh yeah, they're kind of in a mood right now when they want to turn it on longest, and They'll be okay.
So, Dad, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Spreads.ca, our First Nations online casino and sports bet that's tailored to Canadians, which is good because you can bet Canadian dollars, which you can't in most of the other
Now,
ones.
how do they get on it again now?
So you go on to the internet and you go Spreads.ca, and then you...
What is the other word, spread?
Spreads, Spreads.ca.
Okay.
And then you go in and you log in, and then you get your credit card or debit card, and you put a deposit down, and they'll match your deposit up to $500. And then with your first bet on the sports bet, they'll spot you $25. So I didn't do very well because you can do what they call prop bets. So you can go in and bet if Connor McDavid's going to score in the game. You can bet if he's going to score in the first period, second period, third period, or score at all. And it's 2-1 odds, which are 2.5 to 1 odds, so it's pretty good. So I thought, well, he's playing the Leafs, he's going to be at home. I thought he's first game Ontario, he's going to want. Nope, got shut out. So okay, I'll bet again. Second game, they're not going to shut him out 2 games in a row.
Well, he's from Ontario.
Boom, shut him out 2 games. Well,
and Smith.
Yeah, so then I go, well, 3 games in a row. They're not going to hold McDavid to no goals in 3 games in a row. What are the odds? I think that hasn't happened, and so I put big money down, and he got shut out again. So,
well, that's when the Leafs were flying, when they were interested. It's a funny thing. I'm going to say it again. I just don't understand it. The Leafs, I just don't understand. Now they get Spezza. He's from Mississauga here, Ontario.
Yep.
They get Thornton. He's from St. Thomas. Ontario. They get Simmons. He's from Scarborough, Ontario. You're like McLean now. You're thinking, tell him the name. If I hesitate, I'm just thinking about it.
Okay.
You're like getting like Ron McLean. Anyhow, and you said one of their defensemen,
TJ Brody, he's from Chatham.
He's from Chatham. So everybody they pick up,
They trade for these guys.
well, they don't trade. They pick them up for nothing.
Oh, which is even
just about, or
worse.
they give,
They're
they give
free agents. Most they're all
And
free.
I could go on, more guys from Ontario. Everybody they pick up and everybody that scores, except Nylander when he feels like it, and they give a bad write up or something when he feels like it. But everybody that scores is from Ontario.
Well, Matthews.
Okay, or from how about North America?
North America.
We'll say North America. Everybody that scores is from North America. And everybody they drafted is from Europe. It doesn't make any sense. Does it make sense? Can somebody please, Tim, you're on that thing. Can somebody please explain to me, everybody they pick up and that's carrying the club is from North America, and everybody they draft is from Europe.
I'll answer.
Because if you go North America, I mean, you can go Bogosian. Like that whole defense now has changed with Brody and Bogosian, and he's from Minnesota, I think. You know what I think that, and I don't know. Like
you tell me why.
I don't know, but my thing is, I just wonder if he got a tap on the shoulder from somebody and said, "Okay, enough's enough with the Europeans and the small defensemen, and we're not going to win like that. You got to make some changes."
You mean Shanahan?
I think so. Somebody, because it, as you say, it doesn't make sense where the majority of the guys he drafted are smaller players and
Robinson is small.
Smaller players and smaller defensemen. And all of a sudden he gets Bogosian, who's big, and Brody, who's big, and Simmons, who's big and tough, and Thornton, who's big and tough, and Jason's big. And
he was their only fighter last year.
The only guy that got in the fight last year. And you look and you go, did somebody just say, okay, the experiment's over?
I don't know. They got 15. They got 15 guys, and I'm all right. I won't get carried away again. They are the closest to any junior club, and the OHL of any junior club in North America. Got that? And 40,000 kids play for the GTHL. 40,000. And they don't draft.
Well, they must spend a lot of their money having their scouts go to Europe and everything. And maybe they take their wives, have a good vacation.
I don't know. I don't understand.
That's what I think.
I hope somebody can tell me. Well, let's talk about Darryl Sutter.
Yep.
Good guy from Viking.
Good Canadian Viking,
Alberta. Don't forget, we talked about his brother, Brent, Brian, Darryl, Rich, and I think they're twins.
Rich and Ron.
Yeah, and Gary, I guess he was pretty good, but he had to take care of the farm. And he coached in San Jose, L.A., 2 Stanley Cups in L.A. Remember that? Remember he just snuck in?
Yep.
No team's ever done it before.
No, I think it was either the second to last or when he took over the team. I think they were last place overall, just like St. Louis, like with just with like St. Louis.
It was better than St. Louis.
And then made it the last game of the season, and then went on a tear and just annihilated everybody that year in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, Quick was good. You think your theory is he has a good?
Well, that's because he coached Calgary before then, and they went to the finals.
Yeah.
And remember, Jelena scored in Game 6 that would have won him the Stanley Cup, and they waved it off.
Yeah,
and they would have won the Stanley Cup.
I
But
remember that one.
But Kiprusoff was the goalie back then, and he was fantastic. And as soon as Sutter left, he went into the tank.
And Demko, and he's not even there.
And then in L.A. he went and Quick was out unconscious during the playoffs, and then Sutter left, and he's kind of average. So I
don't know. He's got the touch, and he's a tough guy. But he played the game. He knows how he played the game.
Well, should I tell the story about Drew Doughty?
Oh yeah.
So this is
You better be careful the way the world is now.
Yeah, but this is kind of. So it's his first. This is what I read. So I don't know if this is a myth or an urban legend or whatever. But the story goes that it was his first practice, and Sutter was on the ice. And Drew Doughty, I think he was kind of young then. He was a younger.
I remember when Drew Doughty started. I said, "This guy is unbelievable," and he's playing great now again this year. When they said Team Canada, he couldn't play for Team Canada. He's really playing. Okay, go ahead.
So Sutter's skating around, and Drew Doughty kind of skates up to him and says, "Hello, coach." He says, like, how do you want me to play? You want me to pin, flop it, or like, how do you want me to play? Sutter looked at him and says, "Play like a man."
Better be careful now saying that there. I have to tell one more story about Darryl. Like when he was in L.A., we used to go to the morning skate. I think it was the morning skate or the practice. I think it was the morning skate. And so everybody's left, and we're walking in the hall, and who we see coming down the hall is Darryl.
So it's you and Ron.
Yeah, Ron McLean and I. And so Ron really liked him. He's from Alberta and all that stuff, and Ron's from Red Deer. So he starts talking to him. And so he's shooting the breeze. And he tells the story. It was a great story. I thought it was a great story. He was really ticked off. He was drafted by Chicago. And Chicago, he was ticked off about something. They weren't going to sign him or something. And he went to Japan. And while he was in Japan, he was homesick, So he goes down by he sat down by the ocean, and he said, "Just think," he says, "this here ocean goes over to where I come." He was really sad. It was a great story the way he told it. I'm not telling it too good.
Yeah, he was just like saying how he looks at the water, and this water is going to lap up on the shores of Canada.
It's philosophical.
Yeah.
He was really, and he's not that type, but he was a young kid. So Ron did the thing. I never forgot that.
So Ron wanted to tell the story.
This was the big story. This was the killer story. This was the part. So he did a long thing on him, and so the story's over, and I thought, "Gee, you didn't tell that story." I said to myself, "That's kind of funny. You didn't tell that story. That was a great story." So Ron in the next room. He's at the urinal there, and he said, "Son of a bitch!" Oh, I thought that was funny.
So he forgot. He didn't tell. All day he was waiting to tell the story.
Yeah,
and then
he forgot it. He got carried away. Yeah, that was the story. But anyhow, Sutter should do a great job. Couldn't got a better guy. He
signed a 3-year contract too. So
3.
So
he's
it wasn't
not interim.
No. He's gonna take him in. It's funny, The first 2 coaches fired were both from the Canadian division.
Because everybody expects that is I said it wasn't the best decision. I said it was the second best decision. But Sutter will do a good job there. I mean, I think and they won last night.
Edmonton won.
Oh, Edmonton won 3-2, but they still played pretty good.
Yeah,
I watched the game. I couldn't. I got too tired near the end. But Edmonton won. They were due to win though. And anyhow, that's going to be a good rivalry now. And Tippett better be ready when he's ready. That's going to be a good game. There's something that hasn't been in the paper, on TV, And I think it's one of the greatest things of all. And I met this lady, I'm calling her a lady, in Boston. And I was out walking late at night, and there she was, and her name is Bonnie O'Reilly. I said, what a name, Bonnie O'Reilly. Bonnie means good. And Cindy, you can say, and when I say she's good, she really is good.
Well, I should tell her who her son is.
Well, I'm
Are we on? Are we doing it?
Of course we're on, and we're talking about Bonnie O'Reilly and her son. Her sons, one is Ryan, plays for St. Louis, a captain. And when you're a captain, that means you really mean something.
Well, he won Stanley Cup, and he was the MVP.
But he's a captain. That's to me, that is really something. And Cal, and she's a mother. And Cindy, Graham Nesbitt received a kidney from who but Bonnie O'Reilly. Unbelievable. And the story goes that the reason she did it is because he was such a good guy. Graham was such a good guy that he used to open the arena when it snowed or something you couldn't get in, and he used to let the kids skate. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, what a great person she is. And
That's stepping up to.
well, you tell us more about the.
Well, the thing
kidney.
is, the thing is what I think is wonderful. I mean, we all know about, you donate your organs when you're deceased and all, like as wonderful Logan Boulet.
Like you did.
Well, I wasn't dead. See, this is the
No, but I mean, you did. You were alive. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, my point being is that a lot of people think about, well, you have to be dead to donate a kidney, and this is what I have done a lot of volunteering in the hospital, and what we're trying to do in this country is promote living organ donation.
Yeah.
And
Boy, Tim, remember? I hate to jump in, but remember Dr. Hefner when we were sitting there, he said that there's some families won't give to their, remember?
Yeah, I mean, that's Dr. Heron when we were talking about it, and
He's from Australia.
But we were relatives, and so a lot of people will give a kidney to a living relative, obviously a relative with kidney disease. But here you have what I try to emphasize with people before they go on dialysis and they're suffering with kidney disease, to think about being a living donor and expand your horizons on who would give you an organ. Like Joe had no problem in saying to people, hey, I need a kidney. Like who will give me a kidney?
Dad.
And there you are, a person like Bonnie steps up to the plate. And this is what the Kidney Foundation is trying to emphasize, is living organ donation.
Can you imagine though? I mean, she's got two sons too, and I'm sure she's proud of Ryan. I mean, all he's done and everything. But Cal, he's playing in the American Hockey League right now. I think he's playing for Lehigh Valley Phantoms, and he might make. He played a little bit in the National Hockey League. But Bonnie Graham had given a kidney to somebody, not a relative, and not a relative. Just he did it because he was a good guy. And
helped her sons out, and the small community in Seaforth, Ontario.
Seaforth, yeah.
And the amazing thing was, from all the doom and gloom that we have had in the news, and the world's coming to an end, and the plague's getting worse, and there's variants, and this and that, and
murders,
and then the last 6 weeks or a year that we've had in hockey, how bad the hockey community is and how non-inclusive we are and everything like that. That we have
diversity.
we have a good story here about a hockey mom, an ultimate hockey mom, stepping up.
And not a bad son playing for the St. Louis.
And saying, you helped my son out when he was young and opening the rinks, letting the kids play, and I'm going to do something for you. And nothing on TSN, nothing on Sportsnet, nothing in the papers.
What a great story that would be.
And it was on the internet. And when I read it, I'm thinking, is this old? I thought maybe this was a story that happened 3 or 4 years ago that we would, and I'm thinking, no, this is Sunday. The transplant happened on Thursday, and let's knock on wood and hope everything goes well. And it was amazing that, it shows. To me, this is like the true face of the hockey community.
Yeah, and Pam, Graham's wife, is, imagine how she feels, and Joe, his son. And Joe said, I think he said it best, he gave Graham, Bonnie O'Reilly, I love that name, gave Graham Nesbitt, The Gift of Life.